Hey guys, Patrick here. I'm a PhD student at Oxford and I got a couple of questions on YouTube, TikTok, etc. And they were around, why I'm doing a PhD, why science, me working in investment banking between my master's and the PhD. There are just so many stories to tell and I really hope that you join me along the PhD journey until the very end. So, welcome to story time. It'll be a bit of a chatty one, so grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee or whatever, and let's talk about my journey to Oxford. First, we need to make a distinction between me before 2013 and after 2013. Before 2013, I used to get C's and D's quite consistently throughout secondary school. But in 2013, I changed schools, it was a different system, and I managed to take things a little bit more serious during high school or in the UK it's called sixth form. It was also the time when I started to apply to university programs. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to apply to the University of Oxford. What's the worst that could happen? So with that mindset, I applied to the chemistry program, specifically at Balliol College. And honestly, surprisingly, I actually got invited for the interview and that made my day. At the time, my teacher predicted me a 7 in IB chemistry. Just for point of reference, a 7 in IB chemistry is the highest score you can get. It's the A-star equivalent if you're doing A-levels. So for the interview, I basically just revised what I learned in chemistry in class, and that was about it. I mean, it was very minimal. And so I thought to myself that, if you're being interviewed for a chemistry undergrad course, you will be asked on your current understanding of chemistry that you learned from school. So I rocked up at the interview thinking I could answer most, if not all of the questions. And obviously I was very wrong at the time, but during the interview they asked me very difficult questions, and later did I realize that the content of the questions, they were based from undergrad university lectures, not from school, which is why I struggled because I didn't revise for this stuff. And to top it off, I had 3 of these interviews in total. So unsurprisingly, I got rejected and I thought I would never see Oxford again for studying. Let's skip forward 3 years. We're now in 2018. I just graduated from University College London in chemistry and I started my master's in molecular modeling and material science. And the project that I was working on during my master's was very cool. I loved it. And I was working together with another PhD student from the research group. And honestly, that was the first time the idea of actually doing a PhD popped into my mind. And obviously with that, the Oxford dream resurrected. But the end result was that I got rejected by the Radcliffe Department of Medicine, but I got invited for an interview with the biochemistry department. Obviously, I had flashbacks to the interview that I flopped in 2014. So I thought to myself, this time around, I'm not going to have this mistake again. I'm going to prepare properly. So on the day of the interview, I had 7 or so professors interviewing me. And, I was very nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was sweating like a pig. And so at the end of the interview, I overall thought that the interview was very good. I performed well. But a couple of weeks later, I did get that rejection email again. But at the time it hit me that PhD positions are very competitive. And it's a different type of competition because a fully funded PhD project only has 1 position available. So you might be a very good candidate, but if there's someone else out there who just has that little bit of extra experience, that might be the only thing that differentiates yourself with that other person, and that might be the reason why you get rejected. I also applied to Cambridge for a PhD and I actually got the offer, but the funding fell through at very last minute. And this was very late in the application cycle, so actually all of the scholarship deadlines were already passed. So, there was nothing I could do about it. Very unlucky, but these things happen. So let's forward another year and we're now in 2019. I just finished my master's degree and I was now working in investment banking in London. And deep down, I actually really wanted to study for a PhD, so I was determined to try just one more time. And so I applied to Oxford again, to the same departments as the year beforehand. But this time, I knew that I was a better candidate because I just finished a master's degree. I actually have an overall grade for the master's. I wrote a complete thesis. And during the interview, I could actually talk about the research project in detail, whereas the year beforehand, it was mainly the outline of the research project and just a little bit of the data that I collected. And, I thought to myself, if this is not going to work out this year, probably it's just not meant to be. But you know what they say, 3rd time's the charm. I got interviews for 2 different projects, and this time around I prepared a lot more than last year. And last year I already thought I prepared a lot because of that interview that I flopped in 2014. But the problem this time around was that I was working from around 7 in the morning until 6 p.m. in the evening, and sometimes longer depending on the workday. So scheduling these PhD interviews was a lot more difficult than I originally thought. And so I requested to have an online interview for the PhD, and This was at the time before the pandemic hit, so the default option was to interview in person. One of the interviews that I had was with the Radcliffe Department of Medicine. And if you remember, I got straight up rejected by the department last year. It's the same interview format as the biochemistry one, 7 or so professors on the panel, but this time around I was way more confident. And it's not because I knew all of the answers, it was because I gave my answer to the things that I knew, and I tried to give a logical answer to the things that I didn't know. And obviously it helped that I had like a full year's worth of research masters under my belt. After around 8 weeks of waiting, this was early 2020, so I was already working from home, and it's just another regular workday, but I got their email from Oxford. I was halfway expecting a rejection email from Oxford, and so didn't really want to open that email, don't really want to affect my day, but I accidentally had a sneak peek on my notification center. And for once, it didn't say, "We regret to inform you." It said, "Congratulations." I think my eyes were frozen onto the screen for a very long time, but I also raced to open that email. And I think I read that email like 15 times or something. Just like with Cambridge, I had an offer, but I didn't have a scholarship. And this was really frustrating, but on the positive side, it was early in the application process, which means that my application was automatically forwarded to various different scholarship schemes within the university. My potential supervisor also supported my application, and I looked for the various different other scholarship schemes as well. And after a couple of months of waiting that basically reduced me to a ball of nerves, I eventually got another email from Oxford regarding the full scholarship, and it was a congratulations. I will never forget that day. I am forever grateful to my supervisor, department, and university, of course, for the support, because I'm now able to study at the university. That was my dream since around the age of 16, and I don't even have to worry about funding. I think my high school self will be very proud of me. And that is the story of my journey to Oxford. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.